If we want our relationship to be perfect, then we have to stop expecting it to be perfect. Is it possible to have a perfect relationship? I honestly believe that it is. However, there are some really important points that we need to know. The first one being is that if we expect it to be perfect, it's never going to be perfect. Now, when it comes to relationships, I want to take you through a number of things which are going to support you in creating a relationship that you really love, that you really appreciate, and that is serving you and serving your life. In order to do that, though, we've got to face some uncomfortable truths. And I came to these realizations myself through the pain of my own, let's call them failed relationships, but relationships that didn't last, or they didn't quite have the connection that most people are looking for. I'm now happily married. I'm in what I would call a perfect relationship, and I want to share with you some of the things I've learned which have helped me get to that point of communion with my wife. So the first thing is, we have to know, and this is uncomfortable, that inherently all human beings are selfish. Everyone is really out for themselves, but that comes in degrees. So there are some people that are really extremely selfish. You might call these people narcissists. And they're gonna just take, and the more you give, the more they take. And I've experienced that firsthand. It was the most destructive relationship I ever experienced. I ended up in hospital, and it was a big wake-up call. So the first thing we have to know is that everyone is out for themselves, but that happens in degrees. Even someone who is over-giving, altruistic, really kind all the time, if you look behind their motive, it is because they want something in return. If I give you love, if I'm kind to you, you'll protect me. Or if I'm kind to you, or I please you, or I meet your needs, then you'll support me financially, or you'll make me feel good about myself in some way. So even altruistic-based behavior is still rooted in selfishness, okay? So the first thing to know is that all humans are inherently selfish. If you expect otherwise, at some point you're going to get hurt. When someone does something, you will then call them a narcissist because they're putting themselves first. But really, that's what all humans do. Even humans that are quite kind and giving, really behind that, there is a need. There is a need that they're meeting for connection, for safety or security. Okay, so that's rule number one. And what you'll notice as we go through these rules or ideas or insights is they're based around expectations. And really beneath an expectation is a belief. So if you believe someone is going to put your needs first, then you are fooling yourself. That is an unrealistic expectation. So that's the first thing. Now the second thing is, when people put themselves first, what that really means is they have got things in their life that they want to achieve. They've got values that drive them. Our values are the things we feel are important, and they're the things we want in our life. So knowing that everybody has values, and they're going to put their own values, their own needs, before your values and needs, then that gives us a fair and honest perspective to look at our relationship through. Because what we can do then, because sometimes we think, well, that's not fun, I don't want to be in a relationship with someone who just always puts themselves first. But to be honest, you're going to be putting yourself first all the time. Even if you think you're not and you're putting the other first, you look behind your behavior, there's a reason you're doing it, a benefit to yourself. So once we've established that frame that both people are really in it for themselves, it's actually empowering and liberating. Because then what you can do, you can be really honest and you can negotiate and you can say, these are my needs, these are my values, this is the life I want to create. How about you? What do you want to create? Can we become a team in this? And my wife and I will come back to the fact that we're a team. I can't do it all alone, she can't do it all alone, so we're a team. We're a team in this life. Now this isn't just for intimate relationships like monogamy and marriage, this is all relationships, business relationships, friendships. They're all about mutual support. So when it comes to our intimate relationships, first set that expectation that they're going to put themselves first, and hey, so am I. But now let's work as a team for a higher purpose, for something greater. And when we can start to set our expectations fairly, there's going to be far less conflict. When my wife's getting her needs met and I'm supporting her, and when I'm getting my needs met and she's supporting me, and we're really open, clear and honest about what we want, even some of the taboo things, maybe sexually, it just creates a level playing field for everyone to operate within. In order to create the perfect relationship, it is all about expectations. If we're expecting the other person or something outside of ourselves to bring us happiness, to make us feel better about ourselves, if we're expecting them to do that automatically, we're setting ourselves up to fail. I say to people, to create the perfect relationship, stop expecting it to be perfect. Stop expecting your partner to be perfect. They will have flaws. They will have strengths. You have flaws. You have strengths. When we are open and honest about that, and when the other person is displaying their flaws or their weaknesses, in that moment, that's when compassion comes in. That's when empathy comes in. Instead of condemning them because they are hurting the relationship in some way, that is the time to have compassion. Be humble enough to admit that we also have flaws. So instead of condemning them, we can comfort them, we can lift them up. And when both people can do that for one another, you're creating a little heaven on earth, a little safe space where both people can be honest, they can be themselves, which is the most important thing. So instead of condemning them, criticizing them, be there for them, hold them, support them. But it all goes back a step, and it all comes back to our expectations. We cannot expect someone not to put themselves first. If they do, we cannot expect them to be happy for very long. They're going to become resentful. The next thing is we cannot expect them to be positive and good and happy all the time. We have to have an honest appreciation for the fact that 50% of the time they're probably going to be great, 50% of the time they're going to be terrible, and what that does, that's love. That's true love. When we can see that they bring both. You know, when you get married, you say in sickness and in health, in good times and in bad. So when you can accept that half the time it's going to be good, half the time it's going to be bad, then you can actually start to love them as a person. You can actually have a loving relationship instead of one built on expectations that they're there to make your life positive, that they're there to meet all of your needs and you're not going to have to reciprocate in any way. So when both people can do that, when they both come together as a team, when there is a higher purpose or a higher objective, whatever that might be, you might be building a family, you might be building a business, whatever your joint values are, your joint goals, your joint vision, that's what brings you together. That's what unites you through the hard times, personally and collectively, and through the good times as well. So that's a little bit of advice from me on how to have a perfect relationship.